The Red Sox are shuffling their pipeline a little bit ahead of the MLB deadline. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin, and thank you very much for clicking on this video. Just a heads up before we get into the actual video today, I did want to let you know that we are going to be live right here on this channel, 7:30-ish, 7:35-ish p.m. Eastern Time to watch the Red Sox take on the Minnesota Twins. And also, we are on high alert for any sort of trade going on with the Red Sox. So this is going to be a really, really interesting stream. Make sure you guys are there. Again, that is going to be 7:35-ish p.m. Eastern Time right here on this channel. Obviously, right now, all eyes are turned towards the MLB deadline, right? Red Sox fans are sitting there and they're wondering, what is this going to look like for the Red Sox? How are they going to be able to navigate this deadline, and what are they going to bring in to supplement this team that deserves to be bought for? But while we're all focusing on that, the Red Sox shuffled around their minor league system a little bit this weekend that could have a pretty decent impact not only on the next couple of days, but also on the season in general. According to Andrew Parker, our good friend here on this channel, the Red Sox promoted 2 of their top 10, top 11 pitching prospects up from AA to AAA. The first player that was promoted was number 11 overall prospect in the Red Sox system and number 6 overall pitching prospect in the Red Sox system, David Sandlin, who is really starting to figure himself out in minor league baseball this year. The talent has always kind of been there with Sandlin. They're always getting a ton of swing and miss on his pitches, always had the ability to pound the zone with strikes, but he's always been a guy who got hit pretty hard. He'd always sort of be this kind of guy who would either one day look like, wow, this guy could be absolutely special, to the next day being a guy that's like, wow, he still has a ton of work to do. The highlight of his sort of pitch arsenal here, and the reason a lot of people are incredibly intrigued with who David Sandlin could end up becoming at the major league level, is his fastball. That fastball sits around 96 miles an hour, tops out in the hundreds, has done that multiple times this season. Again, it's one of those pitches where he's going to pound it for strikes, and when it's on, it's incredibly on. When it's off, it's a very hittable pitch because it could end up being a bit straight in the zone. Now, on top of that, he also has a slider and a sweeper that kind of have that similar ability where it's either dominant or it's very hittable. Then there's the splitter to lefties and a curveball that it simply feels like it's disappeared this year. I don't even know if it's still in his pitch arsenal. SoxProspects.com, the best place to go for Red Sox prospect news and information. It says it's not really part of his arsenal anymore, but I did want to include it just in case he brings that back at any point. And that's always sort of been what he's been, right? Man, if he can refine his tools here, he could be an incredibly intriguing prospect for the Red Sox. That's exactly what he did, because so far this year, he's pitched in 17 games, 13 of them being starts, to total 82 and 1/3 innings, and has a 3.61 ERA, an even lower 3.29 FIP, and a career low 1.18 WHIP. The strikeouts have dropped a little bit, sitting around 25%, which is the second lowest of his minor league career so far, but it's not exactly a terrible strikeout rate, right? 1 in every 4 batters at this point, not a terrible place to be if you're talking about what the strikeouts are going to look like. Walking around 8%, which is, again, relatively high, but it's not incredibly high, not something to be overly concerned with. It's basically 3 strikeouts to every walk given up. The big thing, though, is that he's been able to limit leaving the yard this season. That was a really big issue for David Sandlin throughout his career. Last season, he had a 2.2 home runs per 9. For context, this season in Major League Baseball, amongst all qualified Major League starters, the worst possible home runs per 9 is 1.9, right? David Sandlin was 0.3% worse than the current worst home run pitcher in Major League Baseball. That was something that needed to be figured out if he wanted to continue to build himself up in minor league baseball. Well, this season, it's down to a 0.77 per 9 innings. You keep the ball in the yard, you get better results, right? It's a pretty simple equation if we're being honest, and David Sandlin has finally figured out how to do that, and that's a very exciting thing for the Red Sox. Now, this isn't a really intriguing promotion for a couple of different reasons. The big thing here is that David Sandlin's Rule 5 eligible at the end of the season, which means the Red Sox have some really big decisions to make with his future on this team, especially with the MLB deadline coming up, because pretty quickly here, they have to decide, is this someone that we think is going to very quickly make an impact at the major league level enough where we're either going to protect him over this offseason, or are we going to hold on to him after the deadline? Because again, you talk about, okay, the Red Sox are going to have to start making moves here over the next few days. is David Sandlin someone that they'd be willing to part with as sort of a bigger piece in a trade to go and get somebody? And it absolutely could be the case, right? Again, we talked about it. David Sandlin's an incredibly intriguing prospect. He's a guy who's really figured himself out this season. He could absolutely be one of these players that the Red Sox sit there and say, okay, we just got, 16 pitchers in the MLB draft. You got a couple of guys who are starting to make names for themselves and find themselves in top 100 prospect situations here. Is David Sandlin someone who's sort of that fringe, towards the top of the Red Sox pitching pipeline type guy worth moving on from? If he isn't, then the other intriguing part of David Sandlin is because he's Rule 5 eligible at the end of the season, this could be somebody, especially if he starts working almost exclusively out of the bullpen in AAA, that we see at the big league level this year, right? If David Sandlin is someone who's only working out of the bullpen in AAA, by the end of the year when rosters expand, his name could end up being one called, especially if the bullpen allows him to sort of let that 98, 99, 100 mile an hour fastball ride, right? If that's what it takes to get him up to the major league level, I could absolutely see the Red Sox doing that. So this is an incredibly intriguing promotion for a couple of reasons, right? Teams want MLB or close to MLB ready players at this year's deadline. David Sandlin all of a sudden becomes that guy with an incredibly intriguing arsenal and success this season. And if not, he becomes incredibly intriguing because he's close to major league ready and he's close to Rule 5 ready as well. The other name that was promoted this weekend is kind of funny that they got promoted at the same time because it's number 10 overall prospect for the Red Sox and number 5 overall pitching prospect, just one step up from David Sandlin, Connelly Early. And this one feels like it's incredibly overdue considering just simply how dominating Connelly Early has been in AA this season. The 23-year-old from the left-hand side in 15 games, 12 of those being starts, and a total of 71 2/3 innings, is rocking a 2.51 ERA with a very similar 2.59 FIP and a 1.13 WHIP. He is also getting a ton of swing and miss, striking out 32.3% of the batters he is facing. That is basically 1 in every 3 guys that's going up against him right now is sitting immediately back down on the bench. He's walking 9.8% of the batters he's facing, so a fairly high walk rate, but still nothing incredibly crazy. Keeping the ball in the yard pretty nicely as well. He's just been a super tough guy to do anything against right now. The fastball this season is really kind of the big reason why you're seeing this sort of incredible dominance from Connelly Early in AA. He really added some velocity to it this offseason, combined that with pretty solid commands, and it's become a really difficult pitch for hitters to hit really well at the AA level. And again, we talk about this all the time, but doing really well in AA as a pitcher is a really successful step in their development, right? AA is usually the hardest step to take in minor league baseball, obviously before you get the call up to Major League Baseball. To see these sort of successful developments at the AA level are really, really impressive. On top of the fastball, he also has a changeup that he gets a ton of swing and miss on. So the combination of these two pitches is really where the magic happens for him on the mound. He does also have a sweeper that just sort of messes with hitters' eyes. It's not exactly a pitch that's going to get a ton of swing and miss. It's not exactly a pitch that you should be incredibly excited about, but it does make him a 3-pitch mix pitcher, which puts him in line to potentially be a legitimate starting pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, because his ceiling right now, especially if he can get that sweeper up to a legitimate everyday offering here, is as a mid-rotation starter for this Red Sox team. And that's very exciting, right? Obviously, having guys in your minor league system that have this ability to be a mid-rotation starter is absolutely something that should be celebrated. But again, you go back to, okay, Corbin, why is this important to talk about just simply today? And I think, again, you go back to the fact that the Red Sox have the deadline coming up in 48 hours, right? Connelly Early has become an incredibly exciting prospect for the Boston Red Sox, but the Red Sox are starting to build up a little bit of an excess here of left-handed starting pitchers. And I know everyone's going to say you can't have too much starting pitching, and you're absolutely right? But you can also have enough starting pitching where you're okay moving some of these guys in order to get an incredibly impactful piece of the major league level right now. And Connelly Early kind of fits that boat perfectly, right? Because you've got guys like Brandon Clark, Kenyon Witherspoon, who you just signed to a deal out of the draft. You've got Peyton Tolle, right? All of these guys who are now in the top 100 prospect list for the Boston Red Sox, according to Baseball America. You can now have the ability to go with a guy like Connelly Early and go out and get something that's really impactful for this major league team. And again, like David Sandlin, if that is the case, then you've got some really, really intriguing prospects. You could buy the two of these guys, right? And you say, hey, not only are Connelly Early and David Sandlin incredibly exciting, they're just one step away from Major League Baseball now, right? It all of a sudden adds a little bit to their value come this deadline. And on top of that, like David Sandlin as well, if Connelly Early is not moved in the next 48 to 72 hours here, you could be talking about a guy that you could use in the back end of your bullpen in the back half of the year. Again, you're talking about a left-handed pitcher here who tops out around 96 miles an hour and has a wipeout changeup. If you get him, again, like David Sandlin, into the bullpen here over the next few months, and you get into September and you're like, boy, we really need some bullpen help, Connelly Early's 96 mile an hour fastball and devastating changeup here could play really, really well in short bursts out of the bullpen. So regardless of which way you want to look at it, whether this is this is a pretty exciting minor league prospect that could end up being a really big trade piece for the Red Sox, or whether you want to look at it as, hey, Connelly Early could be a guy who's impacting this team by the end of the season, this is an incredibly exciting promotion if you're a Red Sox fan, right? Overall, I know we're all waiting on, deadline news, and we're all waiting on what are the Red Sox going to do and how are they going to navigate this deadline that's become one of the more intriguing deadlines over the last couple of years amongst Major League Baseball in general. And this is sort of like, what are we doing covering this? And I get that, right? But at the same time, too, I do think these are really important for a couple of reasons. One, these could have an immediate direct impact on how the Red Sox are navigating this deadline, right? If these are two guys that you end up sitting there saying, these are movable, interesting, intriguing pieces here that we can go and get an impact major league pitcher tomorrow with, they're absolutely someone to be paying attention to if you're a Red Sox fan. And two, even if you aren't expecting them to get traded, this is again two more pitching prospects in a pipeline that the Red Sox have really developed incredibly well over the last couple of years that are now starting to perform at the AAA level, right? They're now just one step away from Major League Baseball. So I get there are a lot of comments when I make videos like this, like, why are we talking about the minor league system when there are major league games going on? And I get it, right? Absolutely 100% I get it. But at the same time, this is how the cookie gets made, right? This is how you acquire those bigger names. This is how you develop and create a pitching pipeline that you're proud of over the next couple of years, is getting these guys in the right spot. So every single step that they take is another step towards that goal of improving the major league team. And that's why every time one of these guys or a couple of these guys are promoted, it's incredibly exciting to me, because not only are you getting a glimpse of the future of the Red Sox, you're also getting a glimpse at what could be used to make the Red Sox a better team in the immediate future, especially this time of year, right? These prospects start to become spotlight news when you're trying to be buyers at an MLB deadline. So we'll sort of see what comes of these guys, right? I have no expectations as to whether or not they're going to be traded or not, but if you're talking about, what are sort of the core here in terms of movable pieces, I would say them, Stinson, Blaze Jordan, right? These are all guys who are bigger names who could end up being legitimate big pieces a part of a trade. So I'm really curious to see how this works out. I think the timing of this is incredibly interesting, and shout out Andrew Parker for always being on top of these. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think? What do you think of these promotions? Do you think it has anything to do with the deadline? Do you think I'm just connecting dots that aren't there because of the timing of it all? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps these videos out a ton, and it means a lot to me. Don't forget, if you guys want to listen instead of watch, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. I will see you tonight for our live stream about the game and the deadline, and as always, in the Red Seats.